you not hear me?
We're ready.
All right. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Thanks for joining us for segment 2 with soccer YouTube legend, the tactical manager, Filippo Silva. And he is talking about the Sonora brothers now. So you should leave him alone about that. We'll start there. All right. He is not drinking. And that is what we told you would happen. So I don't know what all you guys were thinking. Watch his show. He drinks a lot of water. He does not drink like we do. He does not imbibe. So share the show with everybody you know. Like it, subscribe. You know, share it with your mom. She's probably about as old as I am. And I love soccer. All right. So there you go.
Derek, in fairness, there's water in my bourbon.
There is.
A little bit.
Naturally. I mean, I don't put water in there. Why would I dilute
What?
it? That'd be weird.
The ice cube? You're talking about the ice cube?
That's a good point. I guess I do dilute it a little bit with the ice cube right now. Once winter comes around, it'll be neat. Neat all the way.
Just a little. You water it down a little bit, just a little bit.
The ice cubes right now, because it's like 95 degrees outside and 100% humidity. Indiana
Well,
sucks during the summer.
He better water it down a little, Filippo, because if he doesn't, he'll be speaking Latin before the show is over.
I can speak.
Flemish. No, we talked about this in another show. It's Flemish, because that's something,
Okay.
I guess.
It's Flemish. Yes, it is. It is a language.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second.
It is. It is. It
I think
sounds
Google's
ugly,
playing a trick on me.
but all right. So we are going to talk about, before we get to what we're going to talk about, a little thing I want to pepper in there for a lot of the people who were really stressed out about this. So the Mexican roster came out. There's no David Ochoa on it. There's no Araujo on it. There's no Efren Alvarez on it. So all those promises didn't come through for Efren. And there's, of course, no Jonathan Gonzalez on it because he can't even play for Necaxa on loan. So, Filippo, are people just too worried about this?
Well, so let's go by parts. David Ochoa was injured all month, so it made sense, right?
Okay.
We don't know.
Fair
David
enough.
Ochoa. Julian Araujo rejected both nations. They both wanted him there. I don't know if they were willing to play him or they were just going to have him in camp, but he doesn't want to commit yet. So that makes sense as well. Jonathan Gonzalez, I don't even know what's going on with that guy right now. So
He
What a
rides
shame.
fine. He
What a
rides
shame.
fine for Necaxa. That's what he does.
yeah, and Efrain Alvarez, I don't know. I don't think he's a player for Mexico or the United States right now. He still has a lot to improve. One of them being his diet. And once he does all of that, maybe he'll become a quality player. He's very technical, very creative, actually, lefty attacking / winger midfielder. But he has a lot to work on. Efra Alvarez has a lot to work on before he can become an actual national team player, consistently get called up, right? Even though it's kind of weird because they're calling up players like Rodolfo Pizarro still. So,
Well, yeah, but you're right about his diet. Less Twinkies would help. And I hear he loves the Twinkies. So
I thought it was
He's
Italian
gonna-
food.
no, it's
My bad.
Twinkies. Nope. I've got
are you
the
sure
personal
it's not like tacos and a little bit of some chimichanga?
No, that'd
No.
be
I eat a
too
lot.
obvious. Too obvious.
I
It's got to
eat
be
a lot.
Italian.
I eat a lot.
No, it's not
Italian food?
either. No, it's the Twinkies, guys.
Pasta.
Twinkies. If you eat
Heavy
a Twinkie
carbs.
a day, you are going to be puffy. That's
You're
just
saying
how
that does
it
not
works.
keep the doctor away?
No, it doesn't. All right. So yeah, okay. You explained away David Ochoa. That's great. We've now explained away Araujo, and I think Greg did what he could. He called him up, right? So hey,
Mhm.
good, all done. He said no. And then somebody asked us, well, should Greg keep calling him up? And I'm thinking, well, why didn't Greg just work this out with Araujo on the phone before he announced publicly that he had called him up? Does that make sense to you? Why not do that before?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to that. It's kind of, don't forget one thing. Greg needs to let everyone know he's done his job, right? He can't stay
Amen.
quiet about it, right? Because if he stays quiet about it and then Araujo picks Mexico, it's going to be all of us, hey, Greg didn't do anything. Greg is saying, look, guys, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I can. If we lose Araujo, it's not on me. It was his decision. And sure, I think it's fair enough. If we lose Araujo, I'm personally not going to right now, as things stand, I don't blame Greg if we lose Araujo. I guess he's doing what he can. I don't know what else he can do. He can't force the guy to come.
So, big question. He's already called him in twice. I think it was a Gold Cup and now this camp, and both declines. But then again, didn't also play for Mexico by any means either. So, I mean, it's still up in the air. But would you continue to publicly call him up? Or at this point, would you say, hey, we both have phones, we both have emails, let's keep in contact. When you're ready to make a decision, we're here for you?
I would continue to call him up if I believe he is the first or second best option for the right back position.
Yes, but would you continue to do that publicly? Because it's one thing to call him up and he says, no, fuck off. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll just move on to the next player. But it's another
I wouldn't.
Do you think he was the first or second option this camp, though, for right back?
I don't think he is yet. I think Greg literally called him already knowing he was going to get a no.
Gotcha.
Right? It's kind of like when you invite that friend to your house, but you don't want him to go, but you invite because you know he's going to say no. So I think that was the situation there, because I think Araujo has more potential to be better than Yedlin ever was. But right now, it's kind of hard to argue with Araujo Yedlin. I would definitely go with Yedlin. And Serginho Dest is ahead of him as well. Now, Araujo's in the mix with other players such as Skyly, such as Brian Reynolds, Reggie Cannon. I think he's in the mix with those guys. Even though I think Greg personally rates Reggie Cannon higher than him, but he's in the mix. I think Greg tried to call him more just to like, hey, I guys, I'm doing something. Okay, I'm doing something. Hey, look, I got Ricardo Pepi as well. So I don't blame Greg for it. He has to show everyone that he's doing. I think that's fine. I think one of the issues we criticize Greg so much is the lack of transparency from the federation, from the reporters, from the media. Right? Yeah. I think if the media asked the right questions to Greg, we would criticize him less because he would explain it. And then we would, okay, I don't agree with Roldan being here, but good point, Greg.
Yeah, you're saying less yes man questions and more hard hitting ones.
Yeah, like Greg, Jackson Yo, why did you bring him so many times? If he came up and he said publicly, look, I've seen potential in Jackson Yo. I didn't want to quit on him early, so I kept giving him chances. But right now, I'm going to give him a break. Something like that. Why would we criticize him? We're like, all right, that's a fair point. I don't agree with you, but he already explained it. But he's never explaining anything because no one asks him any decent questions. So we're always left in the dark. So we criticize everything. We're like, oh, crap, he brought this guy. Like Tim Ream, just tell us. He's there to control Reina's anger issues. Just tell us.
Well,
we've all seen that video, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The reason that the soccer media doesn't ask Greg or any American manager any hard questions, this is not a mystery to anybody that has been a soccer reporter, which I was a long time ago, is because you get blackballed. They're a very insular, very defensive organization, and they will not let you in on the calls or the interviews with Greg anymore if you try to do something sneaky.
Unfortunately, it's like that with any access media. In all honesty, you look at movies. You know,
yeah, but
Disney will not send you back or bring you into the premiere again if you give them a bad review.
It's in the United States because I know people say I talk about Brazil a little too much, but that's the only country I lived in as well that I can compare, right? I can't talk about Europe. I've never been there. So, but talking to Brazil, the media freaking blasts the manager with tough questions. And sometimes it gets heated because the manager gets angry, and that's how it is, because you got to ask him tough questions. He's in a position of power, right? He's the coach of the national team. He's representing a country. So people should be allowed to ask tough questions as long as they're respectful. I think it's fair.
I agree. But the issue here, just like it is in so many things American, you're so right, is access. You ask hard questions, you lose access. I can tell you personally, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So
I agree. That is right.
So let's get on to this last part of this segment, which is expected results per game and then what's acceptable at the end. And I think you already said it, Filippo. We got to win this game against El Salvador. That's a win. That's got to be a win. Has to be.
There's no other option in this game. Like I said, we're coming from this is different, right? When we entered the qualifiers it was 2015 that I think that we started the cycle of the 2017 failure. I believe it was 2015 that it started, or maybe 2016, whatever it was. It was different because we had qualified to the previous World Cup, right? And we made it to the knockout round. So it was a lot different. This time, there is a little bit of a ghost hunting us, and it's the ghost of 2017. And anytime, if any time, in any moment, in any way, shape, or form, it feels like qualifying to the World Cup is threatened, the pressure will be big. And I don't know if this team, hopefully they're ready for it, because it could happen. But I think it's something that Greg is aware, and he doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want his players to deal with that, which I agree with him if that's the way he's thinking. And losing to El Salvador or tying is gonna like raise an alarm. It's like, oh my God, El Salvador's not even the strongest team here, and we already didn't beat them. Are we gonna qualify? This is World Cup qualifying. It's different. Are we not gonna get the same results as before? Are we all deluded from Gold Cup and Nations League? What's going on here? And then let's say we tie El Salvador, and then we play Canada. That's a pretty damn good team that can very well tie us or beat us. And then we lose to Canada. All of a sudden, 2 games, we have 1 point. What's going to happen there? Panic button. We're going to press the panic button. And then we play Honduras away. If we couldn't beat El Salvador, why can't we also lose to Honduras or tie Honduras? And then imagine we finish the first camp with like 2 points. Holy shit.
Yeah,
It would be a disaster.
It would be a catastrophe, which is why when I watched the Soccer OG show today, I was like, yeah, we need at least 1 win out of these first 3 games. I'm like, what the f are you smoking, dude? What the hell are you smoking?
No.
Well, I mean, he's basing it off historical matches and shit, because we know we go to Honduras. It's a battle for a point in the past. Most road CONCACAF games are always a battle, hoping to get a point, even against the weaker sides. But we have a squad, we have a roster full of players who are playing, starting minutes in some of the world's top leagues, surrounded by fans that are opposing them. So we got to take this fan base out of the equation. Yes, I know going to Honduras or Costa Rica is going to be a little bit different than playing at Hoffenheim by a little bit, but not necessarily for Conrad, who over in league.
But Brett, it's what I was saying the other day. This is the most. It's not the best, right? These players all have to prove themselves, but this is the most talented team the U.S. men's national team has ever had. So our standards are higher. The problem is some fans never raise their standards with the players. That is the problem.
They're stuck in the past.
Acceptable. It's not acceptable to not beat El Salvador. It's a country this big. It's tiny. It's a tiny country. It doesn't have our infrastructure. It doesn't have the players we have. We're more prepared for this. There's no excuses. I don't care how bad the field is. I don't care if the fans are throwing piss at you. You need to win this game.
Well, and not only that, but the team roster is basically a bunch of MLS, USL, and some more of their domestic players. We have players who are, like I said, young players, but they're players who are playing at the highest levels, and we need to be able to go into El Salvador and win the game, flat out. Yeah. We should be able to control the game and win the game.
Yes, you just got to towel the urine off and go forward. I mean,
everything washes off. I keep telling people when I have my kids out, I'm like, everything washes off.
Poop, urine, everything.
Look at what you just said. You said they have MLS players, USL players, and players from their domestic league, right? Along with that dual national Enrico Dueñas that's coming from the Dutch second division. So our MLS players alone are better than their players. Our MLS players, which are not our best players, they are better than their players. If we had an MLS roster right now, I would still think our team would win.
We just won a Gold Cup.
Exactly. There you go.
With an MLS team essentially. Yeah. So when Italy goes to Liechtenstein, they expect to come away with 3 points, and we should against El Salvador at this point. I'm sorry. Yes, that's what is expected.
Derek, and there's that BS argument from Bruce Arena, right? Bringing the Euro stars here. Look, if Italy comes to play El Salvador, they're not going to tie El Salvador and El Salvador. They'll win. They will win the game.
Exactly. So I know people are so hung up about, oh, CONCACAF's so hard. Yes, it's a bit of a grind, but now the talent level we have just totally trumps all of that shit. This should not be difficult. We should go to El Salvador and win. And I think we all agree on that. Right,
Yep.
Brett?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So let's move to Canada. We come home, we come back to Nashville. We got Canada in our face. Some people are saying Canada might not play their strongest team for whatever reason. That would be stupid on their part, because I think they got a
They
strong
know
enough
we're
team
gonna.
now.
They know they're gonna lose. Might
Well,
as well rest them for that third game.
I don't think they should think that. I think they've got some great players on that team, and I think they should be competitive. But I still think we should come out of that game with a win. But for me, it's a game that, with all of Canada's best players playing, I think we can win, but it could be a battle.
So the Canadian game, it's tricky because of that. Like, let's do two different assumptions. One, that they play their starters. Okay. If they play their starters, I don't think it's acceptable to not win at home against Canada. But my issue is it could happen, right? Would you guys agree with that?
It could.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been talked about enough.
But so I think what's going to happen with the United States is if they play their reserves, we have to absolutely win and crush Canada. It has to be a 2-3-4-0 win. Now, if we play Canada against their starters, I expect us to win at home. But if we pull a draw, it's not the end of the world as long as we beat El Salvador.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. But I think that's one of the games that could be a draw. It could be. I mean, it's very possible. And so then we get to Honduras and we're playing away again and we're playing on another patchy ground. But listen, the way Honduras field, their field is never that bad. And it's not going to be like any sort of advantage for them or us or whatever. But I think that is a game that's going to be a challenge, but we need to come out with a win that one too. I think we got to start strong, but it could be a tie. It could be. That's my thought.
So Honduras won't have Ellis, from what I heard. I still need to check the roster. I know that's just one player, so it's not like, oh, they don't have Ellis.
No Ellis. No Ellis. It was announced about an hour ago.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, no Ellis. So that's a pretty big deal, right? This is their most dangerous player up top. Now he moved to Bordeaux at Ligue 1 or whatever it is, League One.
Yeah.
You see,
Liga.
Ligue. So here's the thing. To me, the expectation has to be win all these games. The only matches that I see being away that could be a loss or a draw are Mexico. That is a very tough game, and Mexico did outplay us during the summer during Nations League. So if we play Mexico in Azteca Stadium and we lose, it's not like it's not a drama. It's something that we could still pull a win. We had in the past as well, but it could happen. So I think when we play Jamaica away, if they have so I saw the Jamaican roster, and it's one heck of a roster actually. They have some very good names right there. The thing is, some of them won't be able to play in this window because of the whole Premier League red list thing from the UK, which is just a bunch of BS.
Ridiculous.
From them. But yeah, it's just don't even get me started with that. But if we play Jamaica away, Canada away with their best players, Mexico away, these are games that you can look into and say, yeah, maybe we can win, or maybe we'll draw, or maybe we'll lose. But the other nations, and even they're going to say, oh, Costa Rica away, we can't beat them away. Well, they're old.
Mm-hmm.
And they're almost as old as Derek right now. I'm joking. No, but they age.
No, they're not that.
They're old and grumpy. They're old and grumpy now. They're very grumpy. The elderly. So I gave them a nickname too. They're the elderly Costa Ricans. So the thing is, I just think that besides Mexico, Canada, and Jamaica away, I expect us to win every game. And I guess Mexico at home also, it could happen that we'll draw. Mexico, the United States, anything can happen. But at home against all these teams, I expect us to win. And away, I also expect to win every game except for Mexico. And it seems like I'm overly optimistic, but it's just, guys, it's time to raise our standards. Our team is much better than it's ever been. It's not a grind team. It's a talented team.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't 1994. All right. We should be competing in all these games. So the question becomes, and I'm going to swing this up to Brett. Brett, what's your acceptable number after 3 games? What number do we come away with that's acceptable to you?
I've got 2 numbers.
2's acceptable. What are you, Max Bredos, and you
I got
should be
7,
hanging out?
I got 7 and I got 9.
All right, Filippo. What's an
Okay,
acceptable point?
I'm gonna say acceptable. It's not my. It's. I want 9. I think we should get 9. If you said, "What are your expectations?" I'm gonna say 9. But I think if we get 6 points, it's acceptable. If we win 2 games and we end up letting one slip, I think that'll be okay. We'll be in position to qualify. It's a start. It's a new team, a lot of young guys, but I would expect 7 to 9 points. I'm gonna be disappointed if it's less than that, but I think if it's 6, I'm not gonna be too harsh on it.
And that's where I went on it too, and that's why I said 7 would be acceptable. I want 9, but I could live with 7.
7 and 9.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we're all there on that one. Hey, quick question before we move on to the next segment, Filippo. So between you and Pete, who would you say is more optimistic about the future?
Who's me? Is what he's asking.
I think we're about the same. I think we're about the same with that. We just say it in different ways. I think if you ask Pete, he's also going to say he's expecting 9 points and probably say that 7 is acceptable as well. But 6, he'll probably not be too harsh if we get 6 points. I think below 6 points is a complete failure. It's a terrible camp if we get less than 6 points. Terrible camp. And
what you're saying is Pete is me. Wait, no.
No, he's saying we're equal, but we're not, Brett. You're the optimist on this show.
The thing is, I think in regards to criticism level, we're around the same. We're very outspoken about it. We criticize what we think has to be criticized. We're optimistic about what we have to be optimistic. I just think that if you compare me and Pete is more serious. I banter a lot. Sometimes I banter too much, and I think that would be maybe the main difference right there. But I think in regards to that's the way I see it as well. I have a nickname for every single nation already. Every single nation in the octagonal has a nickname. Every single one of them, and they're not ready for it.
I very much doubt that Pete has a Spider-Man costume in his closet.
Or a crown. He doesn't have a crown.
I'm just guessing, but he might have other uniforms because, well, no, we won't get into Pete's actual job. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to let Pete reveal that on his own time. Although he's answered that publicly already, what he does for a living. But hey, we're going to move on to the third segment. Again, if you haven't checked out Tactical Manager, do it. He is here, Filippo, speaking in English. Unlike the guy on the Paralympics announcer the other day who said, and I quote, this is about an Italian and Spanish player who are playing ping pong against one another. He said, both players are speaking English in their native languages. Really? They're speaking English in their native languages. No shit. That's amazing. I don't know how they do that. All right, until the next show on the Straight Red Card, we'll see you down the line. Nothing creepy.